Everyone else joining us, why don't you type in the chat where you're calling in from? There, Mr. Les Brown.
Hey, what's happening? Brian.
Hey, Les, how you doing, my man? How you doing? It's a pleasure and an honor to be with you here tonight.
Listen, I wish I had a six-pack like you. I see those guns. You flex those muscles. I'm gonna have to do some more push-ups.
maybe we can combine into one superhuman.
All right, that sounds great to me. I want to read these pieces, the introduction.
Yeah, just about one more minute, Les. I got a bunch of people joining, but
Okay.
and then I know you just about one more minute. You just, I think you muted yourself, Les. There you go.
Okay. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So everyone else who's joining us, just type in the chat if you want where you're calling in from. Mr. Brown is going to be kicking this off shortly. No One Left Behind Mindset Mastery class tonight with Brian and Madison Delmaso. You guys are so excited to be here. If you could just put in the chat where you're calling in from. We're going to get started in 1 minute, 7 o'clock. And yep, just put in the chat where you're calling in from. Welcome, Latanya. Nice to see you in the chat. Okay, Maddie, you want to go ahead and open the chat, please? Said it's disabled. All right, thanks. We'll get that fixed, you guys. 1 second. And it is straight up 7 o'clock. Brian, you want to take over and
Absolutely, absolutely. First of all, I just want to, again, it's just a pleasure and an honor to be here with you tonight, Les, and really appreciate your time and opening up your family to us. And we're gonna deliver a lot of value. And our motto is "No one left behind." You know, so many people out there are providing, high-level courses for people, and I think our mission and our goal is to make sure that nobody gets left behind with this information. So I just wanted to say it's a sincere honor and a pleasure to be with you here tonight.
Thank you so much. Same for me. So I'm looking forward to serving you. John, are you going to tell me when to go?
Yeah, but I think we're good to go. I think we're ready.
Okay. Excellent. Hello, everyone. You have something special. You have greatness in you. I would like to introduce you to my very good friend, Brian Delmaso, who's going to share with you the exact mindset mastery system where he and his team will support you daily to achieve your goals and dreams. Brian and his daughter, Madison, are making sure that no one is left behind at any level in today's struggling world. Brian is one of my good friends who works with my very good friend, Bob Proctor. He's the top trainer with Bob. And when it comes to teaching and developing a wealth mindset and strategy, no one does it better. Brian and his daughter provide daily tools and strategies that are accessible and affordable for everyone. They are two of the best at teaching the mindset and skill set necessary to have multiple revenue streams in today's changing world and time. So join me and my son and my daughter and sit back and get engaged as we learn together from two masters at what they do. Take it away, Brian.
Well, thank you very much, Les. Again, I can't say enough how much of an honor and a pleasure it is. I work closely with Bob Proctor, and I know you and he go way back. He talks about you all the time, some of the events you guys have done together. So just really a pleasure to be working with you here tonight. And more than that, to provide some value for your family and the people that follow you. So we're going to get right into it here. And guys, what we're talking about here is mindset mastery, mastering your mind, right? Really understanding what it is that causes people to be successful versus maybe not so successful, right? And poverty and wealth are just both mindsets. I often say both heaven and hell are mindsets. Depression and enthusiasm are mindsets. These are all conditions and mindsets. And what we're going to work with you here, guys, tonight is really understanding that mindset is really controls everything. It's not the physical world, it's the mindset back behind it. We're going to give you some example here to really show you that wealth is 95% mindset. And when I say wealth, what I want to say to you guys is wealth is not just money. That's a very small piece of it. You know, if you think about Les, he was very wealthy before he was financially secure. He was helping people, he was teaching people, coaching people, impacting people. And that community, that family, that love that he was putting out, that's a version of wealth. Living in a healthy body is a part of wealth, right? So wealth is not just financial, it's also the whole human experience. And wealth is 95% mindset and only 5% what you do. And I'm going to give you some examples here to really illustrate the point. Because if you've ever seen stock traders on the New York Stock Exchange, you know, you could be a stock trader like these people in this picture here, or you could be like Mr. Warren Buffett, who's a stock trader at a different scale, right? And the only difference in results would be mindset, right? So really think about that. You could be in real estate. You could be a realtor like these people here, or you could be like Mr. Grant Cardone, who's riding around on his jet here, who's also in real estate. And the only difference is mindset. It's not the industry that these people are in. It's the mindset and the awareness and the training and the things they do mentally to understand at a much higher level. And some of you here might also be in the network marketing industry, as my good friend Eric Worre running the GoPro Master. You could be in network marketing like a lot of other people, like 150 million other people, or you could be like this young gentleman here, and he trains one-on-one with Bob Proctor, and the mindset training that we teach, Mr. Alex Morton, we teach and train in the same stuff. And again, I mean, his income is north of 7 figures a month. So everything is mindset. It doesn't really matter what you guys are doing. For everybody listening, I've often said I can teach somebody to earn 7 figures a year in basket weaving, right? We have the internet. We have a global community that we can market to. And it's all going to come down to your mindset and how you process information. And even public speaking, right? You can be a public speaker, or with a different mindset, you can be one of the legends, one of the greats like our friend Les Brown here, and you can be a global public speaker, right, guys? It's all mindset. And largely the success of Les is his mindset, right? And he's been working with Bob for years as well. They've been good friends for years. So we're going to teach you a little bit about the mindset. And since we're talking about the mind, right, I want to give you the history of what we're talking about here. None of the information I'm going to go over tonight, I didn't make any of it up. It's not my information. It's the science of how the world's wealthiest people think and act and operate. I want you to think about this. And this is carried forward from a man by the name of Andrew Carnegie in the late 1800s. He had the first billion-dollar corporation in the world, the United States Steel Corporation. And he had a young apprentice, a young Napoleon Hill. And some of you may know Napoleon for writing this Think and Grow Rich series of books and leaving a legacy of wealth building information. And he brought this information forward to Earl Nightingale, right? Earl Nightingale mentored with Napoleon Hill, and he brought this information forward in the 60s and the 50s and 60s. And my mentor, Mr. Bob Proctor, was mentored by Earl, right? So if you guys know Bob Proctor, he's 86 years old this July 5th, and has been teaching and coaching and training in the wealth mindset for coming up on 60 years. And he's been teaching me this material. So when I tell you this is not my material, I've just been a really good student, and I'm sort of taking the torch and the information that these gentlemen have brought forward, and we're delivering it here for you tonight. All right, guys, so it's my privilege and my honor to be working here with Les and giving you guys this information. And hopefully you have a notepad. It's going to be like drinking from a fire hose. This is recorded, so if you've registered for the webinar, you will be getting this. And I strongly suggest that you take some notes and you open up your heart, open up your mind, and just be really open to what we're going to talk about here. Because what we're talking about is really the science behind wealth building. Again, that whole human experience. And I'm going to start off with a couple of universal laws, which are no different than like the universal law of gravity or the universal law of electricity, right? There's 7 primary universal laws, and you may have heard of some of these, but most people have not heard of these. Some people have heard of the law of attraction, but they haven't heard of the law of vibration. And this is one of the first primary laws of the universe. Everything in the universe, every thought, everything is in a state of vibration. This is really just high school science, right? And we have the law of transmutation of energy. This is how an acorn turns into an oak tree and the leaves come out they fall to the earth, they go back into the soil. Everything is in a constant transmutation of energy, including you and I. So it all depends the thoughts that you're holding during this transmutation of energy. And then we have the law of opposites, the law of polarity. Everything has an opposite. You couldn't have light without darkness. You couldn't be inside if there wasn't an outside. So everything has opposites, two sides to a coin. Fear and faith are opposites, right? So there's universal laws that we're working with here. We have the law of rhythms, we have the law of gender, we have the law of relativity, which we're going to touch on, and we have the law of gestation. So I really want to dial in on just a couple of these laws that are really affecting you guys. And before we do this, I want to illustrate one of the universal laws. There's a universal law of gravity. A lot of people, you guys have heard of the law of gravity, but nobody here can explain gravity. My background is mechanical engineering, and I can't explain it. We only have theories about gravity. It's an invisible force that we're largely ignorant about, right? We have all these universal laws, but we have understood gravity enough to get in harmony with it. And that's what I'm going to be talking to you guys tonight. You don't have to understand some of the principles that we're teaching. I just want to neutralize your mind to the points where you open up your mind so that you can get in harmony with these laws of creation and really craft and create the life that you want to live for yourselves and your family. And a lot of that for some of you is going to be financially. All right, so let's talk about the universal law of vibration. And I like to use the example of an acorn turning into an oak tree because nobody here can explain that, but you've all seen it happen. And if you were to take an acorn, you would see under a microscope that it's in a low state of vibration. It appears to be solid, right? Every single molecule in that acorn is excited. It's moving, it's in motion. Now, when you put the acorn in the right environment, which would be some nice soil with nutrients, a little bit of water, the right temperature, you would see the vibration of the acorn increase and excite and speed up. And when the vibration of the acorn sped up because of the environment it's in, you would see through the law of attraction that all the little nutrients and particles and things that it needed to become the higher, fuller expression of itself, you would literally see under a microscope all these minerals and nutrients and droplets and things, subatomic particles, dancing right towards the acorn, becoming one with the acorn, and started to sprout and grow and swell and turn into an oak tree. Now, we can't explain the part where the energy that sort of creates that, from the law of attraction, the acorn swelling and growing, but that's what people would call God. That's God energy. Right? It's what's in you, it's what's in the acorn, it's what's in every living thing. That energy is what people call God, or what we call universal consciousness. But we can explain the law of vibration and the law of attraction, right? When it attracted everything to it, which you can see under a microscope, it's not opinion. The law of attraction responds to vibration. So if you've ever heard of the law of attraction, this is what we want to teach you to get in harmony with by raising your vibration. You see, human beings, we can raise our vibration, which will attract what we want into our lives, okay? So guys, type a 1 in the chat if that's resonating with you, because we're going to work on this here tonight. And I want you to think about something. What if you went to the top of the building and you ignored the law of gravity and jumped off? I want you to really think about this one. If you went to the top of a building and you said, I'm going to challenge the law of gravity, and you jumped off, what would happen to you? You see, ignorance of these laws is no excuse. And a lot of people are living very chaotic lives because they're not in harmony with these laws of creation. And we're going to give you enough here tonight to really set some things differently. You're going to have a lot of aha moments, and we're going to give you some information that's going to impact the rest of your life. All right, guys, so there's a science behind wealth building. And I want to show you how the 1% thinks. We think differently, right? The people that are operating at the highest levels around the planet, we think differently. And it's not good or bad, it's just different, right? We're not saying that people that operate here are any better or any worse. It's just higher levels of awareness, if that makes sense. So we're going to show you guys how to raise your level of awareness so you can start to get results like the 1%. But this is how people are born. This is how we're programmed, right? We're born and we look at our results. You go through grade school, you get a report card that says you're a C student. You internalize that. You say, I guess I'm a C student. I mean, what does that really mean? Right? They're teaching you how to memorize things. They're not teaching us how to think in school. Think about that. They're not teaching us how to reason. They're not teaching us self-image, decision-making. They're teaching you how to memorize information. And if you don't memorize the information that you have no interest in, then you're going to get a C, and your results are going to say C on the report card. So we're programmed from grade school and on up to look at our results. People look at their current bank account, their current relationship, their current body, and they use the results to cause their thinking. Now, here's where the flaw comes in, because that thinking causes the feelings. Thinking causes feelings. It might cause you to feel sad or low or just not happy, right? If you don't like your results, then you're not going to have good feelings about your results. Now, these feelings are what causes your actions. And when I say the word feelings, I want you to think about that. That's a word that we used to describe the conscious awareness of the vibration that you're in. Think about that. If you say you feel sad, what you're saying is, I'm consciously aware that I'm in a low vibration. Now, we're going to teach you how you can pick up your vibration, right? So if you're in a low vibration, the body's not going to move into action. You're not going to create much of anything. You're just going to keep having like the Groundhog Day effect. You look at your results. I don't like my results, causes your thinking. You're in a low vibration. You go to work. It's the same old thing over and over and over again. And Bob calls this a self-fulfilling doom cycle. All right, so we don't want to leave you guys here. Just this one next slide alone, if you get nothing else from the webinar, when I build out the slide, I want you to take a picture. And maybe we can get this to the people that registered. We can get you a screenshot. I want to show you how the 1% thinks, right? What we do, we wake up every morning with new thinking. And the new thinking is, where am I going and what do I want? Right? So our short-term goal is $10 million a month through multiple revenue streams. That's just what we're working on right now. And that's not a big goal or a small goal. It's just a goal. But I don't look at my current bank account or my current results to cause that thinking, because I'm not trying to duplicate my current results. I want you to think about that. The only reason you would look at your current body or your current bank account or your current job or anything is if you want to continue on that path. If you want to change the path, if you want different results, it has to start with new thinking. Think about that, because new thinking causes higher vibrations. When you start to think about your dreams all the time, you'll start to materialize your dreams because you're in a higher vibration. It causes the body to move differently. We have new actions, right? You might call more people. You might prospect more people. You might start a new business. Your tonalities change. Your posture changes. You're dreaming again. You're thinking, right? You have a dream again, right? And these new actions are going to cause new results in your life. So take a screenshot of this if you guys can, because this is how the 1% thinks. Everything we do is new thinking. It's not old thinking. We don't look at our current results, right? Even corporate America does that. They look at their current results to make projections for the future. And the only reason you would do that is if you wanted to replicate your current results. That makes sense, guys? So I want to show you a little bit, because we're going to talk about changing the mind. Changing the mind. And if we're going to change the mind and the mindset, what does the mind look like? Right? If you want to change the color in your bedroom, you can look at the bedroom and say, my bedroom is blue and I want to change it to tan. If you want to change your car, you can see what your car looks like and you can visualize and go look at the one you want to get. But if you want to change your mind, how do we do that? Because we don't know what the mind looks like. You see, a lot of people think the mind looks like the brain. They think of the organ of the brain as your mind. And your brain is no more your mind than your fingernails or your skin. All right, guys? Your brain is just an electronic switching station. That's all it does. Your heart is a pump and your brain sends and receives electronic signals. Now, your mind is consciousness. It's movement. Some people will call it tapping into God, or tapping into universal consciousness. So the mind is movement. There is no picture of the mind. It's infinite. But what we want to do here for the purposes of this webinar is I want to give you a frame of reference so you can see why you might be struggling in some areas and how you can improve the other areas. And this is what we do in the Mindset Masters. We work with something called the mind map. All right. So every single one of you, you have a conscious mind, you have a subconscious mind, and you have a body. Everybody does. This is how you're born. And when you're born, your subconscious mind is wide open to programming. You see, I want you to think about something. The language that you're speaking, you did not choose to speak. Think about that. When you were born, there was just these human beings, your parents around you, and they were speaking a language, and through repetition, that went right into your subconscious mind, because when you're born, you have no ability to reject information. If you're born and your parents are fighting your entire early life, then you're going to think that's what a relationship looks like. If you're born and your parents are not wealthy and then they're not aware of how to earn money, then that's going to be your environment. That's going to be your set point. That's going to be your programming. And quite likely, you're not going to break that chain of not knowing how to make money unless you get a mentor or a system or have a paradigm shift. And we're going to talk about what that is. All right, guys, now there's nobody's fault here. This is not your parents' fault. It's not the school's fault. We're born in ignorance, and your parents were born ignorant too. My parents we're all born ignorant. Ignorance just means not knowing. It's not a bad term. It just means not knowing. I'm still largely ignorant in a lot of things in my life, but I've become very, very aware when it comes to the mindset and wealth building and what we're doing here. All right, so we're born in ignorance, and because of that, we tend to have worry and doubt. When you go to start a new job, or when you go to start a new relationship, or when you go to start a physical fitness program at a gym and you've never been in a gym before, we tend to have worry and doubt in the conscious mind, which causes negative thinking. And that negative thinking, it has to go from the conscious into the subconscious and express as the emotion of fear. So if you've ever felt fear about anything, that's what this is. Fear is an emotion. It's energy and motion in your subconscious mind. And what happens is your subconscious mind, that fear has to, by law, express to and through your body as the physical form of anxiety. Think about this. Type a 1 in the chat if you've ever had anxiety, because this is where it comes from. Anxiety is the physical expression of a thought. Think about that. Anxiety is the physical expression of a thought. Well, so is excitement. If you've ever been excited, that's the expression of a thought. So you can't get to anxiety unless you have worry and doubt. So if anybody here has anxiety, you can use this mind map to completely get rid of anxiety. And this is what we help people with in the Mindset Masters as well. So anxiety leads to procrastination. So if you recognize that you're not somebody that takes a lot of action, this is why, right? If you start a new business and you have to go reach out to people and you notice that you're not doing it, it's because you have anxiety and it doesn't feel good. And it's easier to just stop moving, go sit on the couch, turn the TV on and watch other people live their dreams instead of living your own. And eventually, guys, this is going to lead to depression. It has to. Depression is a body or a person that's not going after something. You see, we're born creators. We're born in God's image. And if God is a creator, then we are meant to create as well. You're meant to challenge yourself. You're meant to grow. And if most of you guys, I'm sure you know Les's story, he came from an impoverished environment, right? But he had that soul and that love and that expression, and he built and he grew and he tried things and he had successes and failures and moved forward and forward, right? So this is the journey of somebody that understands this information. So what we want you guys to do from this webinar is get a little bit of knowledge. And when you have a little bit of knowledge, a little study and understanding, you get positive thinking. You see, as soon as you have hope that you can do something, then the desire will build again. Think about that. Some of you might not be going after your goals because you don't think you can achieve them. And we become what we think. I'm going to say that again. We become what we think. So if you think you can't do something, then you won't. But if you think you can, you will. Henry Ford said that, right? Henry Ford was the son of immigrant parents, created the largest car company in the world out of nothing. He had no money. And he says that whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're correct. So we're going to give you a little bit of study and understanding and positive thinking here, which is going to lead to faith. You see, faith is the opposite of fear. And both faith and fear are emotions, energy and motion. Neither one of those can exist unless you put energy towards them, but you're probably programmed to have fear instead of faith. But you can't be in faith and fear at the same time. They're polar opposites. It's impossible to be in a faith-based vibration and a fear-based vibration at the same time. Now, some of you might be going back and forth. What I want to encourage you to do through understanding is to consistently be in a constant state of gratitude and faith. And when you are, you're going to turn into a high vibrating spirit, a high vibrating person, and you're going to start attracting the things in your life and creating the results you want. But you can see here through faith and understanding, it puts a body in motion, or what we would call action, which leads to a body that's at ease. You see, at ease is the opposite of dis-ease. And now dis-ease comes from ignorance. And I don't mean that in the bad way. There's no judgment here. And it might not be your ignorance, but dis-ease comes from generational ignorance. Either generational bad eating habits, bad mindset habits. Stress causes more dis-ease than any diet ever possibly could. But you can't get to stress and anxiety unless you have worry and doubt. So if we were taught this stuff in school, we would have a lot less dis-ease on the planet. And that's really our mission in the Mindset Masters, is to get this information out to the masses. All right, so I want you to think about it. Take a look at this picture. Take a look at this picture and let me know what this represents to you. Right? Let me know what this represents to you. I saw this picture, and this was a very good picture of what fear looks like, what doubt looks like, what worry looks like. Think about this. Now, how could you possibly create the life you want if this is what the inside of your mind looks like? If you're constantly in worry, if you're constantly doubting yourself, if you have fear about anything, you're in a low vibration, right? This is like having a light switch off, but expecting the light to be on. When you're in this state of mind, all you can create is more fear, doubt, and worry. The law of attraction says that like will bring more like. Like attracts like. So if you're in a low vibration, if you have anger and frustration and fear and doubt and worry, then you're going to bring more things that give you more anger, fear, frustration, doubt, and worry. You're going to get flat tires. You're going to have bad relationships. You're going to get dis-ease. You're going to get fired from your job. You're going to have foreclosures. Those are all low frequency things that you're attracting. If you're thinking about paying off debt, then you're going to get more debt. That makes sense, guys? Type a 1 in the chat if that resonates, if that makes sense, because this stuff is pretty easy to understand once you start to get the hang of it. All right, now what I want to show you here is a picture of something else, right? And what we're doing here, what you're seeing is, now I haven't met any of these people personally yet, but I do intend on meeting some of them, and I'll meet Steve Jobs someday because he's moved on from the physical state. But what this represents, when you look at these people, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Oprah Winfrey, I mean, her story, my God, you want to talk about rising out of the ashes. But these people had one thing in common, right? They have faith. See, faith is a mindset. It's not just a religious term. It's a frequency. It's a mindset. It's the opposite of fear. And anybody can choose faith at any time. See, faith is just the thing you hold on to in between when you make a decision to be great and actually achieving the greatness. Maybe you made a decision that you want to get to $10,000 a month through multiple resources. We teach this in the Mindset Masters. How do you start multiple revenue sources, right? So faith is the thing that you hold on to in between when you decide to be successful and when you're actually successful. Does that make sense? Now, most people are holding on to fear. They say, I'm going to start a new business. I'm going to go do this thing. But then they're in the fear-based mindset and they wonder why the thing doesn't show up in their life. So we got to teach you guys to get on the side of faith. All right, guys. So what this material can do for you is life-changing. When I got in front of this material, I had a couple of divorces under my belt. I had lost a home. I had started some businesses, lost businesses. I've had an amazing life, absolutely no regrets. I love every part of my life. I'm just telling you, I was living probably the same roller coaster that you guys were living. But when I got in front of this information, the science of achievement, the science of how wealthy people think and act and operate, it allowed me to really scale up. I 10x'd my construction company. I'm now the CEO of 4 different companies. And I don't say this stuff to impress you. I say it to impress upon you. I was rowing the same boat of ignorance for a good 40 years. I'm not somebody that figured it out when I was in high school and then just crushed it. And I know this material, right? I've probably lived a life different, but similar to less. A lot of ups and downs. And I had to find my way through this material until I came in front of my mentor, Mr. Bob Proctor. All right, guys. So like I said, it allowed me to scale my construction company and start a whole host of other companies. So if it can happen for me, it can happen for you, because the only thing that changed was the information that I was getting. Think about that. It wasn't me, it was the information I was presented. And you guys are gonna get a capful of this information here tonight, and it's gonna be up to you if you wanna move forward with us and take action and really, for the first time in your life, take control over your results. So guys, I want you to think about this. And again, I told you this is gonna be like drinking from a fire hose, so you're gonna get the recording. But think about this. Why is it that 95 or 96% of the world's wealth is earned by 1% of the people? I want you to really think about this. Why is it that only less than 1% of the population has figured this stuff out? Right? So I don't want you to beat yourselves up. There's only less than 1% of the population we're earning all the wealth. right? Now, the reason is we're simply not taught how to build wealth in schools. Now, none of this is your fault. And again, it's not your parents' fault. But we don't want to remain in a state of ignorance. We want to take action. Once you learn something, you're no longer ignorant. But they're not teaching wealth building in schools, right? They're teaching a little math, a little science, a little history, a little English. They're teaching you how to be a school teacher. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what if you want to be an astronaut or an entrepreneur or a singer or an actor, right? They're not even teaching decision-making skills. You can go through all of grade school and all of high school, and when it comes time to make a decision on college or not, or what do you want to do? Something like 70% of kids go into college undeclared, which means no decision. Think about the lunacy of that, complete lunacy. Here's $100,000 in 4 years of my life, but I'm not quite sure what I want to do yet. And we're teaching this to our kids because we don't teach them how to make a damn decision in grade school, right? We don't teach self-image. We don't teach wealth building. I mean, they should be teaching real estate in high school. They should be teaching social media marketing in high school. You wouldn't even need college, right? With some of the things we can do here. Now, I'm not against college. I went to college, and I think it's a great place to network. It's a great place to really grow and meet new people and expand. There's a whole host of things that are amazing about college. But by and large, you're not going to learn how to build wealth there. You're going to learn how to be an employee there, right? And they're not teaching paradigms. So guys, paradigms is the thing I want to focus on next. When you start to understand this just a little bit, you're going to get the keys to the kingdom. All right, so a paradigm is just a fancy word that we use to describe a set of mental programs that have almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. Right now, I know that's a mouthful, and I'm going to break this down a little different, but the fact of the matter is when you were born, all of these mental programs got programmed right into your subconscious mind, right? You have a program called speaking. You have a program called walking. You have a program called eating. You have some programs called playing video games, right? So think about this. All of these are programs that are stored in your subconscious mind that are controlling all of your habitual behavior. My habitual behavior is to work out and eat healthy. Most people's habitual behavior is to not exercise and to not eat healthy. And it's not your fault. It's usually generational. So I want you to think about this. Your paradigm, these programs are no different than the programs in a computer, right? Think of your subconscious mind as an operating system. And there's all these programs in there. And most of these programs are not serving you. You have programs about getting angry or being depressed, or programs about how much you can earn, what you think is possible. These are all part of your paradigm, all right? So when you were born, you didn't know how to walk. That had to become part of your paradigm, and your mentors taught you that. They held your hand. They mimicked the behavior right on side of you. Imagine when you were born, if they would have just given you a book on walking and then didn't teach you and it didn't hold your hand, you never would have learned to walk. Right? If you didn't have mentors teaching you walking, you never would have learned to walk. You'd be 40 years old and still not know how to walk. So we always need mentors and we always need a hand, right? And it's just our parents didn't know the wealth building paradigm, right? So smoking is also a paradigm. Smoking is not a physical habit. It's a mental program expressed physically. I want you to think about this. Now, the entire clinical world will tell you that this is a physical habit and you need these things and these medications, and you're not gonna be able to break the habit. But it's a physical habit expressed physically, right? Or a mental habit expressed physically. So think about this. If you're smoking, that's a mental program. Well, wealth building is also a mental program. Imagine if you had grown up with Warren Buffett as your dad. Really think about this now. I want you to think. Don't just listen to the webinar and, oh, that's kind of cool. Think about this. If you had grown up with Warren Buffett as your dad, you would have learned a program called wealth building. Warren Buffett earns around $37 million a day in interest income and things that are going on. So think about that. That's a program. And it's not your fault. I didn't have the program called wealth building. I went 43 years before I even had a clue about what this was. I was a mechanical engineer. I made money. I had a construction company. I've made some money, but I know 23-year-old kids making $500,000 a month in network marketing. So think about that. They have programs called wealth building, right? So anybody can learn this stuff, and I do mean anybody. And what I want to show you here is a little bit about levels of awareness, right? So you'll notice that I don't say that this is good or bad. I'm not any better than you guys or any worse. I'm just more aware. And same with Bob Proctor and Les and everybody, people that are earning wealth, we're not any better. We're just more aware. So it's not a good or a bad thing, right? And $50,000 a year in income is just a level of awareness. That's all it is. Nobody's earning $50,000 a year because that's what they want to earn. They're earning $50,000 a year because that's what they're aware of how to earn, and it's probably from a job, right? And there's nothing wrong with a job, nothing wrong at all. If that's your dream, if that's your goal, right, and you want to support somebody else's vision, that's perfectly okay. But most people end up in jobs that they don't like, and that's not okay. So $100,000 a year, right? $250,000 a year. Believe it or not, nobody's earning $250,000 a year because that's what they want to earn. They're earning that because that's what they're aware of how to earn. Now, they may settle at $250,000, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the fact of the matter, that's just an awareness. That's just a vibration. All the information that ever was or ever will be, it's all here now. It's omnipresent. The information's here. It's just your awareness, your frequency. Tapping into the programs to cause you to build wealth is what we're trying to do here. All right, guys, so $500,000, $1 million a year, $5 million a year, $5 million a month. There's no such thing as big or small. These are all just frequencies and their levels of awareness. So $5 million a year, it is a place, right? The information on how to earn $5 million a year, it's here now. I just told you, there's a gentleman I know, he's 23 years old, earning $500,000 a month. Well, that's $6 million a year. How did he get there? How is he 23 years old earning $500,000 a month? It's a level of awareness, isn't it? It's just programs. It's something he learned. And if he can learn it, you can learn it. The only question is, do you want to learn it? See, desire is something I can't teach you. That has to come from within. My hope is that I inspire you to take a journey with us and join us in the Mindset Masters. We can teach you this stuff. But that has to come from you guys. That has to come from within. That's what desire is, right? So what happens as you study in the mind and you study in an industry and you take action, right? You do this day after day. You'll see your levels of awareness start to come up. You learn something. Oh, that worked. I earned a little bit more here. I did this there. And as you're going through the journey, day after day, you'll start to see your levels of awareness come up and up and up. And over time, by law, not by opinion, by law, you will have to hit your goal. I want you to think about this. The only question is, do you want to? Are you willing and are you able, right? Willing is the thing you got to ask. You're able, the information's here. All the information's on the internet, it's in courses, it's all here. And what'll happen, guys, when you go through this process, I promise you it's life-changing. I've hit some goals before. What you're going to find is when you hit that goal, you're going to say, son of a gun, I could have set the goal here, right? None of this is big or small. There's no such thing as big or small. There's only levels of awareness. And I want to give you some other examples here to really free your thinking. You guys, type a 1 in the chat if this is resonating, if this is hitting home, if you have some aha moments, because my sincere wish and my sincere hope for you guys tonight is to really leave you better off than I found you and really impact you with what we're doing here. All right, so I want you to think about this. Take a look at this picture. And I want you to just answer this to yourself. What is this? It might be kind of obvious, right? This is a little baby, but what is this to you? What is this to you? And what I want to say to you is this is you. All right? This is me. This is you. This is you at your current level of income. This is you at your present level of awareness. And the reason why I want to use this analogy and this image is because we don't beat up on babies if they're not aware of something. We don't treat them bad or yell at them, right? If they're not aware of something. But quite often when you become an adult, you tend to beat yourself up the most because I've been trying to earn money for 20 years now and it's not working, right? You tend to beat yourselves up, but it's not your fault. You're not aware, just like the baby, right? And think about this. This is no different. You at your current age, if you're not earning what you want to earn, that would be no different than taking a pile of clothes, putting them right next to a brand new baby and say, hey, little baby, go ahead and get yourself dressed. Think about that. Now, we would actually use the word impossible here. It's impossible for a brand new baby to dress itself. It can't even control its arms and legs yet. Because what? Because it is not aware. It's not that it's not capable. It's not that it doesn't have desire. It's just not aware yet. And through repetition and through with the mentors, eventually that baby will learn how to dress itself. Now think about this. At one point in time, this was impossible. But now I'm guessing that everybody here figured out how to get dressed. I'm guessing you're not watching this webinar standing there at home naked, right? You have clothes on. So at some point you turn the impossible into possible. Now, all I'm suggesting is that you fall in love with this stuff again and realize that anything's possible. You just got to make a decision to join us in the Mindset Masters and study this stuff. We'll figure it out together, right? So take a look at this picture here. And I want you to take a look at this. And just in your mind, what do you think this looks like? What does this represent to you? What is this picture? It's a baby trying to feed itself, right? But guess what? This is still you. This is still you trying to figure things out, right? Maybe you tried a business, or maybe you tried to get a promotion at work, or whatever it is, you're trying things. Now, the difference is that more often than not, when you try something and fail, you beat yourself up about it. You get negative about it. You get down. You might even get depressed about it. Well, that didn't work either, right? And you beat yourselves up and you get into a low vibration. Well, guess what? If you're in a low vibration, the law of attraction has to give you more things that are in a low vibration. Like I said, you might get that flat tire. You might have a bad relationship. You might be butting heads with your siblings. You might be butting heads with people at work. That's all low vibration stuff. Take a look at this picture, though. This baby does not have one piece of food in its mouth. So it is failing miserably, but look at how happy the baby is. So you guys, you got to enjoy the journey. That's the secret here. The secret is to enjoy all of it, not just when you appear to have success. You got to enjoy the whole journey. And that's the ticket. That's the deal. That's the secret to what we're doing. It's a process. You set a goal, you move forward. You don't need to know how. If you knew how to get to 100,000 a month, you'd already be there. So stop trying to figure out the how and just make a decision of what you want and put one step in front of the other. I promise you, you guys can figure it out, and we can figure it all together. All right, guys? So here's what I really want to sink in. If you're getting nothing from the webinar, get this one thing. It's not your fault. It's not your fault where you currently are, not unless you've been taught this stuff and you're choosing to ignore it. That's usually not the case, right? So it's not your fault that you're not at 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 a month. But after this webinar, it will be your fault because you'll no longer be ignorant. So you don't blame a baby for not knowing, but once you teach, right? Once you teach a 10-year-old kid something and you teach them repetitively and then they ignore it, well, that's just stupidity at that point, right? And that's why we get upset. But it's not your fault if you're not earning what you want to earn. And I want to go back to this, guys. When I said there's no such thing as big or small, 100,000 a month is not a lot or a little. It's just an amount. Think about that. The earth itself is not big or small, not until you compare it to something. Compare it to a golf ball, well, it's big. If you compare the earth to the universe, you can't even see it. It's almost non-seeable. It's so small. So $100,000 a month is not big or small until you compare it to your income or Warren Buffett's income. You guys see the difference? That kind of makes sense. And if you're looking to increase your income or increase your physical fitness, you have to stop asking, how am I going to do it? You have to start to play with these ideas and say $100,000 a month. I may not know how to do it, but that's not a lot of money. You need to fall in love with that and play with this stuff. Because if you think it's like way out there and it's a massive amount, oh my God, if I could just get there, you're never going to be a vibrational match for it and you'll never attract it. Does that make sense, guys? And this is all the stuff we teach in the Mindset Masters. We actually teach multiple revenue streams and we teach you how to get in harmony with these laws. All right, guys. So we're going to drop a link in the chat here about the Mindset Masters. If this has been resonating with you, right? If this has been resonating with you and you like what we're talking about, we have a program called the Mindset Masters. I think it's 67 cents a day. It's so that no one gets left behind. We teach you the laws of creation. We teach multiple revenue streams. We teach the law of vibration, the law of attraction. We teach so many things. We have people from, I think, 16 countries all over the world that are benefiting, and we have testimonies, and just so many people are moving forward with this information. And tonight here, you're getting a nice little capful of it. So if this is resonating, you can go ahead and click on that link and join us in the Mindset Masters. And I want you to imagine for a minute. I want you to tap into your imagination. A lot of what I have been giving you here, like I said, there's a lot of information. But I want you to imagine, what would your life be like if you started to understand how people like Les Brown, how he thinks now. How is Les building wealth now compared to when he was a teenager, right? The early years when he wasn't building wealth. How is Bob Proctor building wealth? How does Warren Buffett, how do they do this? What would your life look like? I want you to imagine what your life would look like, understanding, raising your level of awareness on some of these principles, on how to build true wealth, on how to build a physically fit body, on how to build relationships that are harmonious, on how to, what if you never had anxiety ever again? Just think about that one thing alone. We teach people how to never have anxiety again in the Mindset Masters. What would your life look like? What if you could work from this place here? I work from my lake house. I don't go to an office. I have a beautiful view of an amazing lake, and I'm just sitting here and I'm working with people like you all over the world, and I created that. But I went 43 years rowing the boat backwards like most other people from ignorance. And this is why I'm so passionate. This is why Maddie and I were so passionate about teaching people this stuff, because we know that if you give somebody this information and they put it into action, everything has to change by law, not by opinion. This is not a Tony Robbins seminar, and there's nothing wrong with Tony Robbins, but he's not really getting to the core of how to change a paradigm of what that is. See, we teach you how to change that programming. You know, where would you be going? What if you could take your whole family on a month vacation to a place like this? See, it has nothing to do with the money, guys. It has to do with the experiences you can buy with the money. Does that make sense? And we can teach you guys how to do this. Now, it's work, right? It's not a lottery ticket, but we can teach you how to do this over time by working together. And I want to give you a little bit more here. I want to show you, I'm going to bring a mind map out again. I want to show you how things attract. We talk about the law of attraction. I really want you guys to get this, because I know you've heard this stuff on the internet, and a lot of you are probably thinking, well, I don't believe in the law of attraction. That's like saying you don't believe in electricity or gravity, right? I don't believe in God. That's like saying you don't believe in gravity. There's vibration, there's universal consciousness. These are things that are, you're either aware or you're not, and you're either benefiting or you're not, right? But the law of attraction responds to vibration. So when you get a goal in the conscious mind, you have to learn how to get it into the subconscious mind. And once it's in the subconscious mind, it causes this thing you call a body to move into action and create results. Now, these results will come in the form of what you want. Take a look at this picture. This is how this happens. All of these things, this boat, this house, this island retreat, this resort, these things all exist. You're just not a vibrational match for them. That's the only difference. Now, these pictures I'm showing you are in my vision book. These are all things that I either have or will have. I promise you that, because I understand how this works. I'm not wondering about these things. I've already been to this resort. I'm going to be getting a house like this in Florida, right? I don't wonder about this stuff. These are goals that I've set and I'm moving towards because I understand this. And again, I don't say this to impress you. I say it to impress upon you. I promise you, if a knucklehead like me can figure it out, you can figure it out, and we can help you do it. All right, guys? But I want to break this down a little bit more. Here's the mind map again. We talk about the law of attraction. The law of attraction is actually the law of magnetism. You are an electromagnetic being. That's not my opinion. That's physics. Human beings are electromagnetic beings. You have enough energy in your hand to light a small city. About 11 million kilowatts of energy in the hydrogen atoms of your body per pound, right? You don't get energy, you are energy. And this is what Les Brown is. Les Brown, he's so attractive. He says such a magnetic personality. What does that mean? It means when he speaks, the vibration is high and he attracts all you guys to listen to him. People around the world come to hear Les Brown speak. Why is that? He is vibrating at a very high level. He attracts all of you through words. Think about this, right? So this is what we want to show you guys. This is a law of magnetism. And when you start to understand this, you can change your vibration and you can start to create the results that you want. This making sense, guys? Take a look at this. We're trying to break this down so you guys can understand and really just be neutral and know that we can help you guys change everything in your life. And Henry Ford said this, right? Whether you think you can or whether you think you cannot, you're correct, you're right. And he created the largest car company in the world. I promise you, Henry Ford was worse off than you are now, and he created the largest car company in the world in his day. Think about that. Now, the information we teach in the Mindset Masters is the mindset of people like Henry Ford. The information we teach in the Mindset Masters, it is the mindset of people like Warren Buffett, right? The information we teach is the mindset of people like Grant Cardone, even though he is completely ignorant to teaching the mindset of how he created all that wealth. This is how he's doing it, right? And even my good man, Les Brown, the information we teach is exactly how this man thinks and acts and operates now, how he processes information towards succeeding in life. All right, guys, so the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I don't want you to do that, right? What we want you guys to do is come join us in the Mindset Masters. It's literally so no one gets left behind. It's 67 cents a day. I mean, there's no monetary risk here, right? We have daily live coaching, little broken up pieces of information just like this. I coach in there. My daughter Madison coaches in there. She's the youngest certified PGI consultant, which is a Proctor Gallagher certified consultant in the world. And she's teaching this stuff all over the world at 24 years old. So I teach in there. She teaches in there. We have weekly 60-minute interactive webinars where you can ask questions, you can interact. Nobody in the world is given this kind of exposure in this kind of a forum where people can actually get live coaching like that. And we get free admission to all the events. We have an event coming up right after this. It's a 3-day masterclass. So if you guys join now, you can actually have admission for free to a masterclass that starts in 2 hours, and it's also recorded. And we also do interviews in there. The whole month of July, we're gonna be interviewing people like Les, people like Ray Higdon, Hollywood producers, people that are in digital marketing, just all kinds of very, very successful people for the entire month of July. And those interviews are going to be in the Mindset Masters. So even if you wanted to join for a month just to get those interviews and then quit, we don't want you to be in there. We don't need your money. We want it to resonate, right? We want you to get in there and understand this information. The biggest reward we get is when a new Mindset Master comes in, puts the material into action, and then sends us a text or sends us a video or shows us the results. That's really the reward, guys. So that's my time here tonight. Hopefully you got some value out of that. I want to say thank you again and really just sincere appreciation for Les for having us on and having us with you guys. Again, I hope you got some value out of this. Go ahead and click on the link that's in the chat or copy down the link that's here, and you can join us in the Mindset Masters to improve your health, wealth, love, happiness, and everything you want to. All right, guys, so make it a great night. Be well, and God bless.